They branded you worthless, laughed as if your blood was ink spilling on their jokes, wrote your name in the dirt as if you'd never rise again. But graves don't bury everyone. Some graves hatch monsters, some silence forges blades. And now the same mouths that mocked you tremble when they whisper your name, because worth itself has turned coward, refusing to sit near you, terrified of what you became in the dark. They called you worthless. Not once, not twice, but with every glance, every smirk, every whispered conversation when you turned your back. They dressed their words like daggers and threw them into your chest, laughing as if the pain in your eyes was a punchline. They enjoyed your silence because they mistook it for surrender. They thought the scars on your soul meant you were already dead. But here's the truth they didn't calculate. Silence isn't weakness, it's sharpening. And scars? Scars are proof you've survived wounds they couldn't even imagine. Every moment you sat in the dark, you weren't collapsing, you were coiling. Every insult wasn't burying you, it was burying them alive in their own arrogance. They didn't understand that humiliation isn't the end, it's the birthplace of fire. They underestimated the hunger that betrayal carves into the bones. And when hunger burns, it doesn't ask for permission. It devours. Retentions spike. Let's turn the knife. Remember those nights where you heard their laughter echoing inside your skull, where you questioned if maybe they were right, if maybe you were worthless. That was the trap. They wanted you to believe it. They wanted you chained to their definition of you. Because if you accepted their label, you'd never threaten their fragile throne. They weren't mocking you because you were weak. They were mocking you because deep down, they feared the day you would see yourself clearly. But the day came, and when you realized their laughter was hollow, something broke inside you, something dangerous. That fragile, naive version of yourself shattered into glass, and in its place, something unrecognizable was born. A version of you that no longer begged for validation, no longer bled for approval. You became the storm they swore would never arrive. Still, don't mistake this for a fairy tale. Rising wasn't clean. It was brutal. You bled for this rebirth. You tore yourself apart in the dark, piecing yourself together with nothing but rage and silence. But rage is an architect, silence is a teacher, and both together, they don't build ordinary men. They build monsters draped in purpose. The world thought they buried you in doubt, but graves don't bury everyone. Some graves hatch legends, some graves forge demons, and now, when your name leaves their lips, it tastes like blood and regret. The same people who once called you worthless now choke on their own words because worth itself is terrified to sit beside you. And here's the poison that drips into their sleep. They didn't create your downfall. They created your resurrection. They didn't end you. They introduced you to yourself. And now, every step you take drags their laughter into the grave it belongs to. But listen carefully. This is only the surface. Because your rise didn't just silence them. It changed you. And when change comes from fire, it's never gentle. It's violent. It's permanent. You didn't crawl back from the dark. You didn't climb. You exploded, and the blast hasn't even reached them yet. Alone in the dark, you didn't find peace. You found war. The kind of war no one else could see. No one else could fight for you. Every night was a battlefield. Your chest crushed under the weight of doubt, your mind split open with memories of betrayal. The voices never stopped. You're nothing. You'll fail again. You're worthless. And yet, while most people beg for silence, you learn to sharpen yourself inside the noise. You made the voices your training ground. They called you broken, but broken pieces cut deeper. You took every shard of your past and turned it into a blade. You bled for progress they'll never comprehend. They slept while you clawed your way through exhaustion. They partied while you carried your own corpse through fire, whispering to yourself that either you'd rise or you'd burn the world with you. That's not motivation. That's survival. Retention spike. Think about this. Every scar you carry isn't just proof of pain. It's proof of defiance. The kind of defiance they fear. Because when they tried to bury you in failure, you grew roots in hell. You didn't just survive. You absorbed the flames. You inhaled the smoke. And you became something fire itself respects. Pain was supposed to end you. Instead, it rebuilt you into something no one has language for. And this transformation didn't come with applause. It came with silence, loneliness, and rage. The nights where no one believed in you, the mornings where your body screamed to quit. Those were the furnaces where your worth was reforged. They mocked your silence before, but now silence is your weapon. They mocked your scars before, but now your scars are your crown. And no matter how loud they try to scream your past, your presence drowns them. The truth, transformation is never pretty. It's not a polished speech or a motivational poster. It's blood in your mouth. It's bones aching from carrying weights they never saw. It's the suffocating fear that maybe you won't make it and still moving anyway. That's what changes a person. That's why the same people who once laughed can't even look you in the eye now. Because when you stare back, they see someone they'll never understand. And when you finally emerged, you didn't step out as the person they abandoned. You stepped out as something carved by storms. You stepped out carrying not just your survival, but their shame, their lies, their betrayal, burned into fuel that will never run out. And that terrifies them more than your success ever could. Because you didn't just rise, you changed the rules. You proved that betrayal isn't the end, it's the blueprint. And pain isn't the cage, it's the key. They thought you'd crawl back begging for a seat at their table. Instead, you built a throne of fire, and now it's them who beg for the ashes you leave behind. You didn't slip back into the world quietly. You didn't ask for space, didn't request permission. You came back with fire dripping from your skin, with silence heavier than any scream. And suddenly, the same people who once spat the word worthless into your face can't even meet your eyes. Because now those eyes carry storms. Now those eyes mirror everything they fear about themselves. They whisper your name differently now. It's no longer a joke. It's a warning. It moves through the air like smoke in a burning house. They thought you'd crawl back begging, thought you'd come asking for scraps, thought you'd kneel for acceptance. But you didn't. You walked in carrying a weight so violent that the ground itself seemed to shift when you moved. And they felt it. Oh, they felt it. Retention spike. Here's the cruel twist. It's not just your success that terrifies them. It's the fact that you're untouchable. You didn't just rebuild your life. You rebuilt yourself into something they can't define, can't control, can't destroy. Every scar they laughed at now drips worth heavier than their entire existence. Every silence they mocked now crushes their noise into nothing. You became a reflection they can't stand to look at, because when they see you, they see what they'll never be. And the beauty? You didn't even have to seek revenge. Your existence is revenge. Your survival is the dagger in their throat. Every step you take is a reminder that their words were lies, that their cruelty was wasted, that their betrayal backfired. They didn't just fail to bury you, they fertilized your rise. And now, every time they hear of you, their stomach drops because they know deep down they created the very thing that haunts them now. But you're not done. This isn't a story of return. It's the beginning of a reckoning. Because what's worse than someone who refuses to die? Someone who refuses to forgive. You don't walk among them as one of them anymore. You walk as proof that pain is alchemy, that humiliation is a forge, that betrayal is the most dangerous gift ever given. And when you return like that, when you walk into the same spaces where they once ridiculed you, you don't need to speak. Your silence says everything. Your presence suffocates them. Your worth has grown so sharp that even the word worth itself refuses to sit near you, too afraid of bleeding under your weight. But remember this, revenge doesn't end when you rise. It begins when they fall, and their fall has only just begun. The rooms that once rattled with their laughter now fall silent when you enter. They used to look at you with mockery, with smug little smirks carved into their faces, believing you would always stay small, voiceless, broken. But now, their eyes don't meet yours. Their throats go dry. The weight of your presence alone is heavier than every insult they once threw, because the truth finally dripped into their bones. Worth is no longer something they can define. You became the definition. They whisper your name differently now, not as gossip, not as ridicule, but as a warning, a curse passed from one trembling tongue to another, because they know that mocking you was the greatest mistake of their lives. And it isn't just regret that haunts them, it's fear. Fear of what you've become, fear of what you might still do, fear of the silence you carry, the silence that speaks louder than every scream they ever threw your way. Retention spike. Think about this reversal. Once, they starved you of attention, of validation, of dignity. They tried to starve you into submission, but now they're the ones starving. Starving for the very thing they tried to deny you, your recognition, your forgiveness, your mercy, and you offer them none. You don't give them scraps. You don't even acknowledge their hunger. That's the reckoning. That's the weight of betrayal flipped upside down. And the cruelest part? You didn't have to swing a sword. You didn't have to fight them directly. All you had to do was rise. All you had to do was become what they swore you'd never be. Because your existence is the blade. Your survival is the cut. Your presence is the blood on their hands that will never wash away. They wake up in the middle of the night remembering the words they used against you, and they realize those words were spells that cursed them, not you. Now, the same walls that mocked you bow when you enter. The same doors that slammed in your face swing open without you touching them. The same people who laughed at your silence now choke on their own words when they try to speak. And this is the reckoning. They are not haunted by what you said, but by what you didn't. They are not crushed by what you did, but by what you became. The reckoning isn't about revenge. It's about weight. It's about standing so heavy in your own worth that even the word itself trembles beside you. They called you worthless to strip your power. Now they fear you because you are power. And no apology, no excuses, no begging can erase the fact that they were wrong. Dead wrong. But here's the truth they don't see. Your greatest battle isn't against them anymore. It's against yourself. And that war has only just begun. Victory looks glorious from the outside, but no one sees the shadows it drags behind it. They think the reckoning ends the story, that once you rise, the demons disappear. But you know better. When the noise of their insults dies down, another noise takes its place. The voices inside your own head, louder, sharper, more intimate. They whisper in the dark, "You've risen, but was it enough? You've silenced them, but do you silence yourself?" That's the war no one warns you about, the war after the war, the one where the enemy is no longer out there mocking you, but inside, questioning every step you take. Doubt doesn't vanish with success, it mutates, it grows teeth. You feel its bite when you lay awake at night, staring at ceilings that no longer drip with failure but still drip with fear. Fear that maybe you've only become what they made you. Fear that maybe you're still dancing to the rhythm of their laughter, even in their absence. Retention spike. Here's the brutality. Sometimes you catch yourself wondering if you've truly escaped, or if you're still chained to proving them wrong. Did you build this empire for yourself, or as a monument to their betrayal? The scars don't just mark the past, they mark the present, reminding you of every humiliation, every whisper, every stab in the back. You've risen above them, yes, but did you rise above you? The paradox of survival is this: you win, but you carry the battlefield inside you. You carry the mud, the blood, the echoes of their laughter. And when the world applauds, when the same mouths that called you worthless now chant your name, a venomous thought slips into your mind. What if I am only alive because of my rage? What if I am nothing without it? That's the inner war. That's the torment that keeps you sharpening even when there's nothing left to cut. They fear you because of your power. But you sometimes fear yourself. Fear that the fire which saved you may also consume you. Fear that you've built yourself into something unrecognizable, something monstrous. And yet even in that fear, there's a truth they'll never understand. Monsters survive where the weak die. And maybe becoming the monster was the only way you were ever meant to live. That's the poison you swallow every day. You know you've won, but you also know winning came at a cost. And deep down, a voice whispers, you can't go back. You'll never be ordinary again. You'll never be free again. The world trembles before you now. But this war isn't over. It's shifting. And soon, your scars won't just mark survival. They'll mark the birth of something eternal. You've risen, you've burned, you've bled. But this part of the story isn't about battles fought. It's about what remains after the smoke clears. Legacy. The thing that outlives you. The thing carved into the bones of history when your footsteps have turned to dust. And here's the brutal truth. Legacy isn't about how loved you were or how many clapped when you won. Legacy is about how many feared the silence you left behind. They called you worthless once, but now, the word worth itself avoids you like a coward, because you redefined it. Worth is no longer measured in money, applause, or shallow recognition. It's measured in the weight of your scars, the violence of your persistence, the echoes of your survival. You didn't just prove them wrong, you rewrote the very definition they tried to chain you with. Retention spike. Picture this. Every place you were once mocked now carries your shadow like a permanent stain. The chairs they once sat in, laughing at your name, now creak under the weight of guilt. The walls that echoed with your humiliation now tremble with your silence. You didn't just survive, you infected the world with your presence. And even in absence, you're there. That's legacy. Not applause, not smiles, fear, respect, silence. But it's more than vengeance. Legacy isn't just what you leave in their hearts. It's what you carve into yourself. You've become untouchable, not because they stopped trying to destroy you, but because destruction no longer works on you. You've been broken, burned, abandoned, betrayed, and you turned every one of those wounds into armor. Now, nothing can pierce you. That's the kind of immortality the weak will never know. And here's the paradox. Legacy doesn't begin when you die. It begins when they can no longer ignore you while you live. You became that. A presence so heavy, so undeniable, that the world bends to it. Your silence screams louder than their voices. Your scars shine brighter than their crowns, and your existence becomes a lesson whispered for generations. Never call someone worthless, because the weight of that mistake can bury you alive. That's your legacy. Not that you were loved, not that you were accepted, but that you became inevitable, unstoppable, eternal. They called you worthless, but now the very word worth itself trembles at your shadow. And this is only the beginning. So if you carry scars, if you carry silence, if you carry betrayal like fuel, this is your home. Subscribe, and don't just watch the rise. Become the rise.